Hello friends, welcome you all. We are here again with one of the rare events. We are here with in conversation with Arvind Mane, who is founder of GV Consultants Pvt Limited. And you know that we basically discuss his educational journeys of various renowned personalities, those who have done several, those who have gone through several ups and downs, those who have really worked hard in achieving their goals. So today I welcome Arvind. Welcome Arvind.
Thank you, Shivaji. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Yeah, welcome you all. Welcome. And let me tell you that there can be a single quote for Arvind because I know him since childhood and his struggle, his journey. That आसमान में उड़ने वाले पक्षी को भी मालूम होता है कि आसमान में बैठने की जगह नहीं होती. So this I think is very apt for Arvind. And let us begin with today's conversation with Arvind, who has been an motivation to many youths today. So Arvind, let us begin with your educational journey, as everyone might be very keen to know about your educational journey because you have been on very top positions in various industries, companies you are working with. So, from where do you like to begin your educational journey?
So, I will not take much time, so I can briefly tell that I did my theoretical education as well as practical education. So when I say practical education, I'm still learning, right? So academically, I'm an commerce graduate, and I did my MBA from Symbiosis College, Symbiosis Business Management. So that's an executive MBA. I did it, right? And that's a basic qualification. Besides that, I have done many workshops, and I've attended various other crash courses to upgrade myself. And I'm still doing it until today. So that's my academic is. And to start with, I was not very bright student, right? An average student.
Okay.
Like everybody, after 10th,
Exactly.
they decide what to do, right? Many of my friends, they wanted to do science, so I also took a science. So I was a science student at the beginning, and then
Okay.
over a period of 6 to 7 months, I realized I'm not that great in science, and my potential is somewhere else. So I then shifted from science to commerce, and I could realize that I can really do well in commerce. So that's where I started my journey in commerce.
This time there was no pressure from your parents that you shifted from commerce to science. What was going on in your mind in those days?
So there was initially when I passed out from 10th, there was a pressure, not a pressure given by my parents, never ever, but yes, a peer pressure. My entire friend circle, they all were bright and they wanted to move to science. And then I thought, let me also take a science since I've scored good marks in class 10th in science standard. So 10th standard science is altogether different than what we really learn in 11th and 12th. And
Exactly.
I was basically into CBSE board. I could have done well, but I think my interest was more into something else, and I realized very soon, and then moved to commerce. So that's what.
Okay.
No pressure
So,
as such from my parents.
like we have pressures for board examinations. Did you have that kind of pressure during those days? Because that time the society was very cruel on most of the board students. They used to, the parents and the society used to create a lot of pressure on students. So how did you went through your board examinations?
So basically, the pressure what we hear today is actually I'm observing. I'm hearing this for last 10, 15 years. I'm not that old. I'm only
Right,
44,
right.
45, right? But during early 90s, I think there was no pressure as such.
Hmm.
No commercial classes and many online classes, many coaching centers. There were hardly any coaching centers during our days. There was no
Correct.
competition. Yeah, there were private coachings and there were students who were going for the coaching. But if you ask me, out of 30, 35 students in a class, hardly 5 or 10% would attend those coaching classes. Others used to do a self-study. So I did not join any classes in class 10th until first 4 5 months. But later on, I did join only for mathematics and then science, only two subjects. And there was no pressure as such from my parents or an environment as such within the society. I think I don't think that competition level was not there. Yeah,
Correct.
and somebody scoring in class 10 during our time was the ranker in class in a school would be scoring around 80 85%. Now I
Correct.
hear, right, so almost 90% of the student in class 10 they score more than 80%, and
Exactly.
and the ranker are somewhere 99.1 and 99.2. Still they are not
Yes.
happy.
Yes.
They are not happy. They feel they have not done their best. And we were so excited after giving examination. We never thought that when the result will come. When the result came, we were first checking whether we cleared first class, right, or whether we have passed. I think that was the level of excitement.
So, do you think that nowadays the parents are thinking too much about academic marks? Basically, I'm talking about marks because nowadays you find that a lot of parents are struggling to get into scoring marks, and then they decide their career based on that rather than what the interest the child has.
There is a lot of competition nowadays, and no matter what, but even the parents are very concerned about their children career, right?
Mhm.
And they are behind them. I'm not saying they are literally behind them, but they are very careful about what stream the child is choosing, right? And besides academic, even the parents are giving a lot of support to even all other curricular activities, right? So I know in my friend circle, they have their children, they are into academics, they're good in academics, they're good in drawings, they also join a sports club, right? So a lot of activities are there besides education, right? And during when I say our days, it is not 100 years back, it's just
Right, right.
around years back, right? The focus was on education, right? And other curricular activities were actually curricular activities, not as a
They were not
mainstream.
taken very seriously.
Yeah, yeah, not
They were
seriously,
just going along with.
not enough opportunity to really develop somebody into some other skill set beyond technical education.
Correct. I know that I have seen you during graduation also you have worked in various companies. You always are believer that along with your academics you must also pursue the experience, the real life experience. What you want to say because you already is an example of getting lot of experience during your graduation days.
Yes, so my father paid my fees until 12th standard, right?
Okay.
The moment I cleared my 10th standard, I think that's the biggest lesson my father gave it me. He said, I have, I've given you the basic education. Now you're strong enough to continue
I
and
know.
earn and learn, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
then I passed out class 12th, and then after the results came in, I had only one thing, a cycle with
No,
me.
you never felt that your father was too rude to you, that he has stopped paying you money after 12th standard.
No, my grandfather actually, taught my father until class 10th, and I was very,
Okay, okay.
I would say,
Lucky that you
happy,
got
and I
two
was
more
very
extra
lucky. At
years.
least my father gave me another 2 years beyond class 10th, right?
Yes, very
And
true.
I too wanted to really experience something out of academic, and
Hmm.
and I realized I think it is really important to have a practical experience, than what you have actually read in the book. And as and when we get into conversation, I'll give you various example, right? How all those practical experiences, goods and bad, really help me uh, grow
Bro,
in my professional as well as my
exactly,
personal.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, so what kind of experience did you take during graduations? I think you have done coaching in some institutes. You have given coaching to various students to earn money. You have also joined various companies. What was going on in your mind in those days? Graduation.
I was very clear about my academics, that for me the most important are my academics because my graduation is important.
Correct.
And while along with my BCom, I know doing a BCom will not really help me because in that case I'm amongst those 30 35,000 uh, people who would or candidates who would clear the BCom. So what is
Okay.
that differentiation I will carry after 3 years of passing a graduation, right? How am I going to stand different from others? So I think that mindset was very clear from the day one when I cleared my class 12. Right, so I was preparing for my two mainstreams. One is my academic, and other for my other entrance examinations. Right, so
Okay.
it was see my first 3 years were very very busy. Right, so my day used to generally start at around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning, I have to catch my bus or take my cycle, whatever the communication mode I have. So I have to go all the way to my college, attend my classes, and then from there I used to go to a chartered accountant firm and learn the practical accounting over there. And I worked there for almost 6 to 7 months. And
Great.
then in the evening I used to teach accounting to the commerce students, right? And that continued for almost a year. And then I realized that I think I'm not saying that I learned enough in a CFM, but I think I was doing decently good over there. And then I got an opportunity to work part time in a private limited company in my second year.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, second year I got opportunity to work as a part time. And then when I was working in a part time in the evening, because that was primarily about collecting money and then accounting that money and then
So you
working there.
joined it because for money or for experience?
Both, yeah, money as well as experience, right? So if you're into college, right, my dream was to have my own bike, right?
Correct.
So I was dreaming to buy my own two-wheeler. So I
Okay.
think that was the aspiration I was carrying, but it was not. I was very sure that I have to also focus on my studies. So I was doing my ICWA during those time, and I cleared my entrance along with my class 12, and I
Right.
also cleared my stage one and stage two group one and group
Correct.
two along
Okay.
with my graduation. So the day I passed out my BCom the year, and the same year by December I cleared my intermediate also.
Okay.
So I was good in education, good in my BCom, and I also cleared my intermediate, and I was preparing for my finals. That's where I left my that private limited company, and I really wanted to get into full time mainstream study for 2 years, and then become a qualified, and then
That you
join
did
the.
after graduation, I think. I think
So
after
that
graduation you focused more on competitive examinations like CA and all that.
No, I did not focus on CA. So I was focusing more on the other uh, the CAT examination, right? So I
CAT
joined
examination.
Sujata Khanna. At that time, Sujata Khanna was one of the Prime Institute.
Correct. Correct.
So joined Career Forum Sujata Khanna. I prepared for my CAT examination. I gave couple of attempts but could not clear. The maximum percentile I could make out was 89, and that
Okay.
was sufficient to get admission anywhere. Then then I was focusing on my finals of my ICWA,
Hmm.
and then I left my job for almost 6 to 9 months, and
Okay.
then in between I also gave an examination, but it is not something which a professional exam is not something that you would clear every stage, right? So one of the stage I could not clear, and then there was a waiting period of almost 6 months. I think that's the time I got another opportunity to work with Kirloskar group of companies. The company was Kirloskar Consultants Limited, a limited company. And that
Okay.
time, somebody getting an opportunity to work in a Kirloskar like a company, right? That really attracted me.
It also it
Sorry.
was having a big tag.
Yeah,
Kirloskar itself was a
yeah,
big tag.
yeah, that was a big tag.
Yes.
So I think my mind, my heart was telling me to continue with my education, right? But my mind was telling me to at least give a try to that company. And somewhere, since I was balancing my education along with the job, I thought I can also continue the same for next 2 years, and I will work as well as I can still continue with my studies.
So
So
what went wrong, do you think, that you were preparing for a competitive examinations like MBA, basically CAT examination?
mhm.
And what went wrong, you think that I should have prepared in this way or that way? You always have a immaturity during those days of graduation. where you do not know much about the examinations, or you lack little bit of preparation in that sense. So what do you feel in today's as compared to today, what do you feel that what went wrong in those days?
So I think most important learning is when you're focusing on your academics, right? See, experience, practical experience, right? Along with the studies, you're learning something. It is good to have, right? Towards
Okay.
to along with your graduation, if you're doing it, it is good to have. But when you're working, when you're studying for your professional examination, right? It really needs a lot of time and dedication. Almost 14, 15 hours of study every day, right? And practice, right? I think I feel, right? And I can't go back to those days and then make those correction, right? So someone who is preparing and serious about a professional examination, one has to really dedicate a lot of time and effort.
Mhm.
And I did not balance that, right? So that was
Okay.
one of the one of the learning. But I always say, right? So decisions when you take, they're always right at the point when they're taken, right?
Hmm.
And
Correct.
decisions go wrong or right, but you realize later on, right? And
Correct.
second thought is, no matter whether your decision is right or wrong, you should have courage to correct it, right? And you can
Exactly.
correct it at any point of a time. And I think that
Exactly.
those principles I did carry. I did realize that I could have focused more on my professional career at least for another 2 years, right? I think that would have given me much better return in my professional career. I realized those, right? And then later on, I corrected it,
Hmm.
right? And then maybe when we discuss, I'll tell you how I corrected it and how I still managed to reach where I wanted to reach. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Very true, very true. I think you have been a role model for many, that you are one of the most disciplined person. How did you pay? How did you got that habit of being so disciplined, and how did it help you to achieve your goals?
I don't call myself disciplined, but I'm very punctual on time. That's the one
Correct.
thing I think I always work upon. And then I also tell everybody, let's be punctual, let's be on time. I think being
Is it
on
is
time.
it because you belong to a army background? Your father was in army, and because of that, do you think that that got inculcated in you? That habits of getting up early in the morning, going for a walk, then having a very disciplined life.
So not a disciplined life, but yes, I think everything. Yeah, we all learn when we grow. We all learn from our near
The
and dear
parents,
ones, right, and the
right,
parents, right.
right,
My
right,
father still wakes me up today, right?
correct,
Whenever I sometimes I become a lazy boy. I don't get up on time, so my father still wakes me up, and then
right,
I think that is important, right? So and it helps me not to forget that I have to follow the time because that's most important thing. And I think see, following timelines and following a time, both are different, right? Following a time is following a watch. Following a timeline
correct,
is when you follow a timeline, you follow many other things, and even the many other people, and the business with you all interact, right? So there is a lot of commitments. There are a lot of deliverables that needs to be done. So I was fortunate to work with European clients and mostly working with European and US clients, and they are
correct.
very particular about the time. So over a period of 15, 20 years of my professional career, I think I got toned to those.
Yes,
I got
yes,
tuned to
exactly,
those habits. So
correct,
be on time for any meeting. Make sure that you undercommit and over deliver. Right. You work on commitments. Right. Once you promise, you deliver to it. I think that also helped me to develop myself into professionally when I'm working
professional.
on habits.
Yes, very true. That if you have a discipline, you can develop, and you don't have pains actually.
Yeah.
Because if you are not disciplined, then you have a lot of pains, because adjusting your habits to that
Yeah.
particular situation is becomes very difficult. But since you have it inculcated in yourself, there is no problem at all. I would like to go to that to your I think you have worked as a lead project accountant in Kirloskar Consultants. In those days, I think after getting graduated in commerce, that would have been one of the best job in those days.
Yeah, I think that was one of the best job, and it was one of the difficult situation to get me that job, right?
Okay.
So technically, post qualification experience was hardly 1 year, right?
Hmm.
Whereas the requirement was somebody with around 4 to 5 years experience for that position. But I still applied for that position, right? And somewhere I was having a gut feeling that I will be called for an interview, and I was very
Okay.
well prepared if I get called for an interview, how to crack that interview, right? And the position was not in Pune, but outside Pune, to one of the remote location in Uttar Pradesh, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
almost around 1,200 kilometers from Pune,
Right, right, right. So
and then
basically, that post was made for position in UP.
yeah,
It
position in
was
UP.
placed in, yeah, it was placed in UP.
It was placed in UP.
Okay.
So when I went for interview, I could see that there are more than 7, 8 candidates, right, between 35, 40 years of age,
Right.
uh, right, with around 10, 12, where the requirement was only 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 years experience. There were a
Hmm.
lot of applicants. I could clearly make out applicants having more than 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 years of experience. And there is one candidate who is only 24, 25-year old,
Hmm.
hardly 1 year experience post qualification.
Correct.
And then I was surprised why I got a call, right? But I did, and that's where I took a decision to go and at least give an attempt for an interview. And if I get selected, then I will decide whether to pursue with my career, with my professional studies, or continue with this job.
No,
So I'll not
what?
get into details how I got it, but I was the one who got shortlisted and selected. And I think what they were expecting from the
Yes.
candidate, right? I had all those uh, capabilities, but I was lacking only in post qualification 4, 5 year experience, which
Correct.
was
Correct. Correct.
recommended
But
by them.
you showed the interest in going to UP and serve there for Kirloskar, and that was a big move in those days.
Yes, so I see everybody have their own analogy, right? And if I have to
Correct.
get my job, I did my own analogy, right? And they asked me a simple reason, then why you have applied for this job? And the HR asked because out of curiosity. And then I asked a straight question, right? I applied for a job, but you also called me for the job. So you must have thought something, right? I'm carrying something different. And I made my application very clear, what is my upbringing, where I had been to various locations, right? And then what is my qualification? And I also proved in my biodata that I have around 3+ years of experience. So I said while I started working from first year onwards, right? And if you include that 3 years plus one is equal to 4 years. So I qualify the minimum criteria of 4 years. So I think he liked it. So he called me for an interview. The simple question they asked, and rather I asked many questions, and I made them convinced that why would somebody who is in Pune, right, and no offense to anyone, why would somebody who is in Pune at the age of 30, 35, already married with children or without children, would
Correct.
choose to go to a
Go to
remote
UP.
place, right? Somebody who is a bachelor like me, who is who has already traveled into those locations because I come from a defense background. My father was in
So
defense, so
was it a tough call to go to UP and serve there and do a job there? Because basically, studying in Pune, you don't have the attitude of going out of Pune and then settling it down. What was in your mind? Because going down so many kilometers away from here, that too in rural areas, because it was not in like Noida and all that area. It was a
mm,
very remote area.
yeah.
Going there and working there was really a tough call for you.
So when I took this opportunity, I had no idea where I'm landing. Right?
Okay.
I wanted to join Kirloskar. They were hiring at a contract basis. I was okay to also join at a contract basis. The reason I took this opportunity is today, at this point of a time, I have a option, right?
Okay.
I can go anywhere. There is nobody who is stopping me, right? And if I confine myself to a limitation that I will only work in this framework, I will not go beyond this. I will not think beyond Pune, right? And I
Exactly.
will only work in a company which is in a 5 kilometer radius or in a 10 kilometer radius, right? I'll
Correct.
only work with a company which is giving me best of the facilities, right? Then right, that opportunity has to come, and then God has to grace me with that
Correct.
opportunity, and then I should get it, and then everything is going good and great, right? The second option I have is not much opportunities in the market, right?
Hmm.
Something which is knocking, right? And I feel that I should now work. There is also a need to support my family. When I say my
Okay.
family, my parents, right? My father had got retired at the same time, right? And then I thought, I think that's the right decision I'm taking, and if I get through, I should also ask for good salary, right? And then
Right. Right.
I went to an
Exactly.
I went to an extent explaining or negotiating with the hiring manager, saying that you hire me for free.
Okay.
I work there for 3 months.
Okay.
If you like my work, pay me for those 3 months. If you don't like my work, you can send me back.
Oh, great.
So
Great.
that was the level of confidence I was showing. That was the level of commitment I was giving,
Correct.
and they were really wanting someone with this attitude who can work in
Hmm.
extreme conditions. When
Extreme
I
condition.
say condition, it is actually a place which is more than 40-45 degree Celsius hot during the summer, right, and almost 1 to 2 degree during the winters, right, and away from Pune, right, and then in a remote area where there is no internet. Anyways, there was
Correct.
no internet even in the Pune, right? There was, but in remote villages, there is hardly any internet. And they were looking for somebody who is an accountant, can manage the entire accounting for almost 25, 30 different small projects they were executing in those villages. Very interesting one. So I was excited to get into that journey. I got the opportunity, and I also got very good salary in those days. And then I thought I will continue with this job and along with it, I'll also pursue my professional career, professional
Right.
education.
So in
Joined as
brief,
an account. Yeah.
what is your takeaway from your first job?
So Kirloskar was my second job, or maybe a first job after passing out from my graduation. So takeaway was most important. I joined as an accountant, but I came out as a project manager. When I joined, my responsibilities were limited only to do an accounting work, right?
Right.
But the situation, the demand, right? The situation demanded that project has to be also overseen, right? Anyways, I'm supposed to be reporting what is post-mortem, what has happened in the expense and the income,
Correct.
right? But overall, the project has to go into profit. I so I went beyond what I'm supposed to do in my accounting, and I then started showing interest more into managing those projects, understanding what is happening into the projects, working with the field engineers, working with the senior engineers who was into civil and into constructions and other engineers.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
gradually I thought I realized that I have much larger ability and capability than what I am feeling. So right, so I can
Correct.
also manage other responsibilities.
Correct.
So I ended up managing the entire project. So I was at that point of a time I was a key point of contact even for the government of UP to
Oh.
execute those projects. It was
Okay.
in collaboration with the government of Uttar Pradesh and World Bank. And then I was a key point of a contact, and they had a trust on me that he is a representative of Kirloskar
You got a lot
consulting.
of experience from your first job because you were able to interact with UP government people. You were able to
Yeah, yeah,
work in rural areas,
yes,
and
yes,
lot of hardship. Even though there were a lot of hardship, but lot to learn from those incidents.
yes, yes, yes. And it gave me a lot of confidence that I can manage teams, I can
Yes.
manage
Correct.
people. Those are not professionals, qualified, experienced people, but even somebody who is Gram Panchayat, who is somebody from the Gram Panchayat, who is somebody from a village, right? A village chief, right? Village Mukhiya, right? And interacting with those people, understanding, and then working with them, most important is I was a signing authority of the 15 bank account.
Yes,
Those were
exactly.
jointly operated by the heads of those villages,
A
right?
big
So
role,
yeah, I was
a big
interacting
role
very
played by you at a very young age.
yeah. So that gave me a confidence if I can run this, so I can even run teams, right? So Kirloskar I worked for almost 4 years, and then
Yes,
after
okay.
after
I think
after
after
four
that you switched as a manager in Exa Business Services Limited, and there you have multiple roles. You have played multiple roles there. How did you how did you shifted from an finance company to an insurance company? How was your experience shifting to an insurance company?
so during early 2000, right, or 2000, so most of the insurance companies, so LIC was the one company, and I think
Yes.
India was going through a journey where a lot of insurance companies were moving to
Private
India.
insurance companies were coming into India's in
To India.
those days.
And then this was an opportunity. I thought I worked in almost 4 years with the consulting company, right? So while this is more of a government projects and all, and now I have done the team management. Now I know
But didn't you
the
feel that there was a risk working in an insurance company because LIC was dominating in those days?
no, no. I'm not comparing with the LIC. I'm comparing with the new upcoming working environment. It's a shared service working environment, right? Offshoring working environment where a lot of job opportunities are coming, right? There were companies in Delhi, Noida, and other places. So as in Pune, a lot of BPO companies were coming, shared service companies were coming, and primarily into insurance and banking area. So I got opportunity to work with an insurance company, and I thought, let me shift over there, right? And then see, accounting doesn't change
Yes, right.
completely. The fundamentals remains the same.
Fundamental remains
It's
same.
important to work in a mainstream environment where there is a new trend is coming, right? So in 2000, early 2000, I joined AXA Business Services, and I joined at a lowest supervisory level over there,
Okay.
and I worked there for almost close to 9 years in that company.
Oh,
Those 9 years, while I worked in the same company for 9 years, but I played a different role
yeah,
every two
multiple roles you played.
people roles I played, and that's where from a small team management to managing much larger teams, managing different line of businesses, right? Managing over and
But how
above
did
your
you
work.
manage? Because you were not having that kind of educational background that you can manage the entire teams or play a multiple role. But you actually did it. That in that company, Exa Business Services Private Limited, you have shown to the entire team that I can lead, I can work in various branches, not only in finance, but I can also lead in different sections. How did you overcome? What was the reason behind that confidence you had?
So it's all about opportunity, right? My
Okay.
leaders on me, right, and they gave an opportunity. I worked on opportunity, and then I sustained and I delivered, right? And not every time you would deliver to the best, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you
Correct.
fail, and that is also learning. And how do you overcome those failures? And then
But
again,
you gave your optimum.
yeah. So yeah, I think over a period of 8 to 9 years, anyone who join any company anywhere, right? See, one mindset is very important. Nothing is permanent except change, and you
Right.
have to continue to shift or upgrade yourself, right? So when I started working, there were no mobile. Gradually, the mobiles came in, the pager came in, then the mobile
Pager
came,
was there, I think, in those days.
and then currently we have the most advanced iPhones and one
iPhones.
and all those kind of a phone. So technology is changing, so as the skill sets has to also change. So as until unless you upgrade yourself, until unless you test your horizon, how much you can fly, and how much you can move forward, and you should have that attitude of upgrading yourself. And
Mhm.
until unless you carry that, you cannot make a shift, right? I think that helped me to sustain in this company, and until I worked with my previous company, and I think that's a not a
So,
secret, but
so
that's common sense to
basically, you
everybody.
are suggesting that even if you have low confidence in working in various roles, you take that responsibilities, and go ahead with it so that you can learn from that. So there are two different attitudes basically. One attitude is to learn, go into that situation and learn from that situation, and another is to never try that situation and do best at whatever you are doing. So what do you suggest? Do you suggest that you should always play with multiple roles because you can get various opportunities in various companies then?
So there are two things. There's something called hedge and edge.
Right.
Right. Edge we all know, right? So we reach there and there is an edge.
Right.
And everybody reaches to an edge in his or her role, right? If you join at a particular level, right, you will be hired in that level on a specific salary at a salary pay scale.
Correct.
Over a period of time, you will reach to the maximum salary grid. If you are not changing your level, you have reached to that edge.
Okay.
You have to hedge your edge. Hedge means you have to secure your edge.
Right.
Either then what's best alternative is to shift yourself, right? So today anybody would pay 100 or 150 rupees or 200 rupees for orange, for apple, right?
Okay.
There can be somebody in the market who would pay 400 rupees for an apple, but there will be hardly some people who would pay 400 to an apple, but apple will remain an apple. When I say apple,
Correct.
it's a apple, right?
Correct.
So you have to upgrade yourself. You can't remain an apple throughout the career. You have to upgrade to some other fruit which has got much higher price in the market, right?
Okay.
Upgradation is very important. And one point I
No,
failed.
Arvind, what I'm trying to ask you is, see, there is always a dilemma. Either to perform best in your whatever you are doing, or go into multiple roles and try to learn from these multiple roles. So what do you suggest? Whether you suggest that do best in your own domain, or you play with multiple roles and learn more from those roles?
Okay, I'm coming to the same thing. So do
Okay.
best in your domain applies well for an individual contributor.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you are an individual contributor, right? I'm not talking about this mainstream industry. Any industry you take it. If
Any
you're a
industry.
contributor, you will have your own. You will have a limitation.
Correct.
You can do the task within that limited time, maybe much faster. Over a period of 4, 5, 6 years, you can do the fastest in the world, but still there will
Hmm.
be a limit,
Correct.
right? And that's where the subject matter expertise plays an important role. When you get into a leadership role, subject matter expertise is important, but it's not the only an important competency. Okay, besides that, you should know people management, you should know customer management, you should know
Exactly.
client management or employee management, right? And there are many other different competencies which are important, because there, while you are there in your own domain, but still there are many other peripherals which support, right, which are important for you to learn. And I can link that with my next shift to another company from
Right. Exactly. I was going to that question only.
yeah.
Did it
So
help you to join as a manager in Tata Consultancy Services Limited?
yeah, so I joined as a senior manager with Tata. I did not move from an insurance company from an operations role for a higher salary to some other company.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
very clear. I have to shift to my a new role.
Okay.
I learned enough of operations. I learned enough of client management, and I was playing. I was also managing.
So
Uh,
there was already a saturation point reached.
Not a saturation point reached, but I knew very clearly if I continue to handle this, right, a day will come when things will fall.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. And then,
So you were basically preparing for a multiple battleground.
yes. So I was good in operation. I can manage a small team of 20, 25 people, 30 or 35 people. I can manage a client. So I know my limitation where I am. But am I good in sales? Am I good in pre-sales? Am I good in other skill set which are required as a leader to manage the much larger positions? Right? Maybe I didn't get that opportunity. So
Okay.
that was a trigger point for me to move from this company and shift it to another company. And I purposely choose a role which needed to work on those skills.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
like I got paid to develop those skills, right, in that company, and there I learned the other side of the business. What is sales? What is a pre-sales? How do you create a solution? How do you develop a solution for a client, right? How do you manage the how do you contribute to get the business from a client, right? So I
Okay.
worked there for almost 2 years, and
So
then
did you anytime feel pressure that you are working in such a big company with just graduation as an educational qualification? I think by that time, have you added any degree to your existing qualification?
so I did my executive MBA, right?
Okay. In those
And
days only you did your executive MBA.
yeah, I did my executive MBA, and that MBA I think gave me a confidence, right?
Right.
Some
Exactly.
a confidence to look think differently, right? And as a many say MBA is masters in business administration, right? How do you look business? How do you look business from the different perspective, right? Not as an employee, as a doer, but as a leader, as a manager. How do you manage different situation? How do you manage tough times? How do you manage sales? How do you manage other things, right? So I think that really helped me. And then see, education is not the only the academic education. There are
Exactly. Exactly.
training, many training sessions. A lot of good companies they develop their employees with the training sessions, and I am thankful to all those companies where I worked, and everybody gave me
Right.
an opportunity to learn, sharpen my skills on leadership, sharpen my skills on my
But
uh,
Arvind, what happens is
and others.
Arvind, but what happens is you are basically in such big companies, you are working with colleagues who are basically having degrees from IIMs or such highly enriched institutes.
Mhm.
And then we are having a qualification much lower to that. Did you any time feel pressure that you are basically working with such people and then you are having the dilemma that how can I cope up with them?
So I think that's a good question, and people do feel right, and I did felt that,
Okay.
and I felt that and experienced that to a certain stage, and yes, it's a showstopper
Yes.
somewhere when there is a need of a specific qualification and experience, right?
Correct.
And yes, if it is a technical role, definitely it matters a lot because that is where the qualification takes advantage over and above whatever experience you carry. Okay.
Hmm.
And there are many other roles, right, where you can still fit. Okay. And as I said, I think that is one of the bottleneck, but that's not the only bottleneck because of which you cannot grow. Okay.
Okay.
And that's where the when you move away from the technical role and when you get into the more of a leadership role, right? The other qualification leadership role is what experience you carry, what failures you carry. How did
Correct.
you overcome your failures, right? And how did you manage those difficult and tough situations,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And someone with a great qualification experience theoretically,
May
right?
not be able to do that.
Yeah, and unable to drive those change behavior, unable
Exactly.
to drive
Exactly.
those behavior on the ground, right? So it doesn't really help. At the end, what business or what client is looking is result,
Correct.
right? It is a confidence or it is a level of confidence an interviewer get at the time looking at somebody's qualification, looking at somebody's academic experience. It's actually a gate pass. Okay,
Yes.
get
Exactly.
into it. But then your academics doesn't help you to take all the decisions. I've seen great academians, great knowledge, but fail to deliver the basics on the delivery, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Academic does not really help. And I say when I say it does not, it's not in a literal meaning, right? So I think it's all about someone who is really focused upon the technicals, right? He'll end up only focusing on the technical. But when you have to get the work done, it is done by the people who are working for you or working under you. Understanding their psychology, understanding the people, understanding their perspective, understanding the client perspective, understanding the holistic perspective, right?
Exactly.
And then taking a balanced view, and then ensuring that client is happy, so his employees are happy, right? And then we are still able to deliver the optimum out of the best out of the whatever
Correct.
constraints
Correct.
we have. This will not come through academics. This all will
Yes.
come
Correct.
through experience, right? And this experience will come only when you fail in your
Hmm. Very true.
day-to-day work life, and you learn from there, and then you replicate somewhere else, and then again you see whether it tested, water is tested or not.
Very true, Arvind. Very true. And I think failures teaches you a lot because they are basically stepping stone to any achievements. I think based on this, your experience, you then joined as an assistant vice president in Genpact. And do you think that it must have been a dream come true for you?
Not as a dream come true, but I think my there was another reason to shift from a company. There was always a reason for me to shift from a company to another
Okay.
company. So this time, in a TCS, I spent 2 years. I learned the sales side, pre-sale side, solutioning side. I already had a background of operations, managing teams, managing finance functions, right? Now I wanted to take a platform where I can take much larger role, right?
Hmm.
And then I got that opportunity to work with the Genpact, and that was it starts with the leadership role to manage a much larger team, right? And that required a skill set to manage client, to manage business revenues, right? To manage cost line, to manage teams. And from a small team of 2025 was managing few years back, I started managing a team of 150 to 200, right? And then I worked there for 2 years. I was able to deliver it, and then on a personal ground, I have to move from Genpact to Infosys because Genpact was in Noida, right?
Correct.
And from Pune I shifted to Mumbai for the TCS opportunity. From TCS I shifted to Noida for Genpact opportunity.
Right.
So on a
Okay.
personal ground, I moved from Genpact to Infosys, and there I was fortunate enough to lead a team of 600 to 700 people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Much larger.
I wanted to ask the same question that you were global client operation head of leading manufacturing client having multiple delivery centers across Poland, Mexico, Netherlands, and Philippines. Now, this is a completely, totally different experience. You are now shifted from insurance to a BPO company basically, where you are having interactions with various different countries. So, what was your experience in those days of Infosys?
So basically, it is to do with more of a people management, client management, and then most important is P&L management, profit and loss management, right? And then you just end up managing, and then working on different targets, right? And some larger finance function company, finance organization where it's a manufacturing client, and then they have entire finance function outsourced to Infosys, right? And I was managing. I will not talk. I'll not take name. I'll not talk about those numbers and others. Like it
Correct,
is
correct, correct.
not supposed to be declared publicly. But I will talk about more about a role, more about challenges, right? And those see when the larger the teams, right? And it is important. The client always looks at the stability of the team, and there are always highs and the lows in the team. When I joined, it was at its lowest, and then over a period of 1.5, 2 years, then it evolved to its very matured state,
Correct.
right? And I will talk more about my experiences. My experience was great experience, great learning with those clients, different work cultures, right? Genpact is a US driven culture, right? TCS a great company, Infosys, great companies, right? So I think all great companies have their great values, and the value systems are very important, right? So
They all have different work culture, and therefore you might have experienced those cultures, and
yes,
must
yes.
have must have been it must have been difficult for you to adjust to those cultures.
So not very difficult, because Indian companies working with TCS and Infosys, the best companies in
Right,
India,
right, correct,
and I think they give utmost importance to the values of the company, right? And within that framework, everybody has to operate. I think I was fortunate to get into those companies, work with those companies, and develop that values in my professional and personal career, and that really helped me. And then, as and when I was managing much larger opportunities and almost into 40s, 44 plus, son into 10 standard, right? And then I thought, I think, let me try now something different.
right,
So I've been shifting from, I shifted four companies over a period of 20 years. And then I thought, let me do something different. And then that different actually came out of my day-to-day operational experience, right? And when you interact with larger people, you understand the larger problems,
correct,
right?
correct.
And I thought, let me say let me work on something which will really motivate me
We
to
are going to that section. We will be going
value,
to that
add
section.
some value to what I have experienced so
Yes,
far.
yes.
How can I develop those kind of skills, either on finance or on people management side? So I decided to volunteer to move out of company or
Yes,
took
yes,
a
we are going to that section, Arvind. And
yeah.
friends, Arvind has been in most of the top companies. He has been working in those companies, but recently he has moved out of those companies and started his own venture. And let me tell you, he has planned a lot, he has worked on it a lot, and then moved to a new venture. We are in the last section of our conversation. We are going to ask on how did you land up into these ventures and what is that venture made for. So, Arvind, I think you are a co-founder and managing partner of Golden Vista Consultants Private Limited. What is it? What is its function? What is its role?
Okay, so I'll give you a background for this. So when I was interacting more with the employees and I work with various companies, so over a period of time, I realized that there is a need to have a practical skills, right?
Exactly.
And then my passion was is teaching or talking to people, understanding, and putting everything. I see. I have experienced everything by looking at things, right?
Hmm.
I'm not somebody who would read a book and then visualize everything. I need
Exactly.
a practical exposure and experience. And then during the hiring and during working with the people, I realized that lot of people who have graduated, right? So they don't have those actual exposure, they don't have those skills, and there is no institution, there is no formal training platform for in a finance, like in like in an manufacturing there is an ITI, right? And
Right.
in engineering there is a lot of practical, but in finance it is generally not, right?
Right.
So there is a lot of demand in the market, people with the right skill set. Okay. And many employees who are working, who work in one area, they continue to work in that area until unless they get opportunity to some other area within finance, and they get it out of a luck, or it so happen that they accidentally move into some other area. There is no formal uh, career development structure or an institution in the market. While all good companies have great learning environment or personal development environment in their own companies,
Correct.
but but they have their limitation because those companies are not the training institution,
Correct.
right?
Exactly.
Train their employees their for their employee future as well as their future, right?
Very true.
Thought, how can I do differently? Then the thought came in my mind. So let me start an institute where I can help. I can find those needy people. I can help those college-going students. I can help those freshers or with 1 to 2 years or 3 years of experience who have certain experience, but they really don't know where to go next, what to do next. I will not get into the technicals of the finance, right? If they're into X kind of an activity, how can they move from X to Y, Y to Z, and how can they have a much larger experience in a circle where they get more opportunities in the market? As I previously mentioned, if somebody continues to do an A kind of an activity, for example, procure to pay kind of an activity, right?
Okay.
And he works there for 4, 5, 6 years experience, he doesn't develop himself or herself into a people management skill, he'll continue to become an subject matter expert. Finally the
Hmm.
company will, finally the output by given by you, right, at a higher price, right, at the half of the price there are two people can give a double of the output. So
Hmm.
at a point of a time you have to upgrade yourself.
Right,
So my
right.
institution helps all those employees, all those college going students, to help them to develop their technical skills, right? We are also working with some institutions, some companies currently to give them training on various FNA activities. Besides that, we also digitize because of this corona. We also shifted a new. We moved to a new product line where we digitize the entire knowledge. Whatever knowledge the company employees are having, that knowledge has to be digitally recorded somewhere.
Correct,
So we
correct.
digitize those knowledge in a video and audio format, and then we create that repository for them to retain their knowledge. And then training is one area, and the domain certifications and training is what we do it. So I planned this really, really well, and very late, well laid plan. And then, as and when the moment I moved out, I wanted to get into full-time business and all, but then Corona hit. Right, this
Okay.
not
Okay.
affected anywhere in the
It
entire
has
particular.
affected everyone, but also it has affected so many small scale startups.
Yeah, but every problem also has an opportunity.
Opportunity.
As I said, so we are also getting into the digitizing the entire documentation of the knowledge. So this is new stream what we opened, which was not in our earlier plan before Corona, but post Corona we are going online. We are developing our own. We already have our software. We can launch all those training material, and besides that, we are working on developing those training material in a video audio format.
Arvind, how much scope for you foresee for the results driven training and consultancy?
When you say result driven training, is an outcome driven training you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't get your question.
No, you are saying that there is a result driven training. Means you provide result driven training. What exactly does it mean?
So it is not a whiteboard training, right? It
Okay,
is
okay,
going
okay,
through actual practical experience. Okay,
okay. Hmm.
and it's like a same work environment which you will find in any company. It's the same environment we'll
So
create
same
during.
environment will be created in your training centers.
Yeah, it's a simulated environment which is created during the training, and then it is not only the what of the process, but giving them examples, and then test them
How
on
much
various
scope do you
modes.
think? How much scope do you think is there for this particular type of trainings?
There's a lot of scope. Over a period of last 6 to 9 months, I have received a lot of inquiries. People are also calling me for preparation in their interviews, right? At from a junior level to a senior level. I'm also consulting them. All consulting is free. Uh,
Yes.
it's not my mainstream business to do consulting on the interviews, but I
Right.
support anyone, anybody, and everybody who wish to have some kind of a support and they want to prepare, and they want to do a mock interview session with me. All right, I can coach them on the technical skills. I can coach them what kind of questions can be asked. I can coach them what is the expectation of an interviewer and how one should behave when person joins and how one can see there has to be always a progressive trend in shifting. I'm not shifting completely, but upgrading himself or herself in a career, right?
Correct.
That's
Sarvin, very nice. But you have really entered into a venture which has a lot of scope and a lot of demand in coming years. What are your future plans?
so. This is my future plan. What I'm doing it.
Okay, so you are going to land up only into consultancy and training, or else also you are planning for in GV
No, so
Consultants?
my focus is currently into consulting and training for until it gets stabilized, and it has to reach masses beyond Pune. So
Yes.
when think digital, we are reaching through digital format. So I'm getting inquiries from all over India, at least, right from Noida to Delhi to Lucknow to
Correct.
Kolhapur, all locations I'm
Correct.
getting inquiries. I think
Correct.
I am falling short of my hands currently to to complete my entire curriculum and then launch this. I'm planning to launch by end of this year, and I'm very hopeful I'll be able to do that with whatever limitations I'm currently working due to Corona. But besides that, I'm also occupied with some projects. So I think in next 2, 3, 4 years, I see that I am establishing this as a very well tested and very well proven concept of having a certification courses with this institution that will give an assurity to get a better career, better future, and better progression in their professional life.
Arvind, it was very nice to have conversation with you. You have really a very bright future because you have landed up into an training center and consultancy, which is the scope of future. We wish you best of luck to the entire team of GV Consultancy and especially Arvind, who has taken out some time and spoken to us. You are. I would like to. I would just like to ask you a last question. What will be your message to the students?
Message to students and everyone is, I think I did mention in my during our talk, is
Yes. Yes.
nothing is permanent other than change. Keep upgrading yourself, right? Don't confine yourself to books and theories, right? And then don't depend on, don't crib. I don't have this, I don't have that, right?
Correct.
Rise and then whatever situation you are, you just take a step ahead. Today, it is a world of it's a digital world. Everything is available. It's very easily available. A lot of resources are available. I think take advantage of whatever is available next to you, and
Correct.
then keep upgrading yourself.
Right. Thank you, Arvind. In
Thank you.
short,
Thank you, everybody.
yeah, in short, I would like to say that looking at the entire conversation, I have a few points to suggest to all my viewers that be positive, develop a positive attitude, start dreaming at young age, achieve at early age, never stop studies, be original, develop skills and intelligence, and be loyal. This is what we have learned from the entire conversation with Arvind. Thank you very much, Arvind. I
Thank
request you all to kindly subscribe MahaEdu News because it brings you several people from various backgrounds so that you can learn from their entire journey. They have their own ups and downs. They have their own problems. They have own overcome their own problems. So you will be able to learn from those problems and overcome your own. You will be able to develop your own attitude. You will be able to develop your own goals. So I wish everyone best of luck and thank you very much, Arvind. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Bye.
Bye bye.